This is the fifth in a series of 10 modules about social enterprise. This module looks at stakeholders in social enterprise. The aim of this module is to support learners in identifying what constitutes stakeholders for social enterprises and to facilitate the exploration of the learner's immediate and wider work context in order to promote professional development. By the end of this session, learners will be able to understand the importance of identifying stakeholders, appreciate the importance of distinguishing between stakeholder groups, and comprehend the influence that stakeholders have on a social enterprise. So what are stakeholders? Stakeholders are the people or organisations that matter to your enterprise. That is to say, the people and or the groups affected by or affecting your social enterprise's work. Anybody with an interest in your organisation is a stakeholder. This will include the people both inside and outside of your organisation, from staff, volunteers and trustees to users, supporters and other organisations in your field. You could also consider those who are not connected to you now, but could or should be in the future, such as potential users or possible future donors. Stakeholders are very important in any social enterprise. Stakeholders could be board members, sponsors, funders, customers, members of staff, or volunteers. Making sure that you maximise their involvement in the social enterprise and their links with you and each other will ensure that the social enterprise gains the most benefit from them. The importance of the stakeholder. A social enterprise needs to know who its stakeholders are. Through the identification of stakeholders, a social enterprise will be able to understand the effects of the activities that its enterprise undertakes, allow stakeholders to have a voice and an influence, increase its accountability by identifying and responding to concerns raised. Stakeholders can provide social enterprises with a large amount of support and information. They can provide feedback, provide direction, ensure quality of provision, and help you meet your organisational objectives. How do you identify stakeholders? It is important to think about the particular groups who are affected by your social enterprise. These might include staff, beneficiaries, funders, suppliers, customers, the local community, local authorities and volunteers. In general, social enterprises will have many stakeholders with diverse types and levels of involvement and interest. It is not uncommon for these interests of different stakeholders to conflict. As well as identifying stakeholders for an entire enterprise, it is possible to identify stakeholders for individual projects or initiatives. Key stakeholders. The stakeholder map shown on the slide is not a definitive list of stakeholders for a social enterprise. This will depend very much on the individual organisation, but it is important to note that they should not include all of those who have knowledge or views about your social enterprise. The key is to consider how they are affected by your work. An activity. Draw your own stakeholder map. Try to identify actual organisations and individuals to fall under the different categories. Customers. All stakeholders are important to a social enterprise, but some are more important than others. Customers, beneficiaries and key influencers are the stakeholders who are key to the success of your social enterprise. It is important to be able to identify and distinguish between these three groups. By doing so, the enterprise will have its profile increased, attract more customers and beneficiaries, and be able to improve its marketing. This in turn will lead to more income and an increase in the social and environmental benefit that the enterprise aspires to deliver. Customers are those who are purchasing your products or services, either for themselves or for others. It is important to focus on customers because they are essential for successful marketing and long-term sustainability. If their needs are not met, they are unlikely to make repeat purchases or provide recommendations. Customers are essential for good business practice and essential for financial sustainability. It is important to build relationships and ensure that value is provided to customers. Beneficiaries. It is important to be able to distinguish between customers and beneficiaries. Whilst it is entirely possible that they may be one and the same, in some cases or situations they will form firmly into different groups and require different key messages. Beneficiaries are the consumers of your product or service who are directly using them and benefiting from them. It is essential to focus on beneficiaries for planning, reviewing and delivering work, to help you demonstrate the needs that your enterprise can meet and the social impact that you can have, to ensure that needs are being met, and to provide useful information for monitoring and evaluation. Key influencers. The relationship with key influencers is paramount because of the impact that their opinions can have on others. They have the ability to communicate the message that you wish to send out, but equally will be in a strong position to damage reputations if the experience they receive is not good. Key influencers are those who influence the buying decisions of your customers. They don't make the decisions but have significant influence over purchasing decisions. It's important to focus on key influencers to increase the profile of the enterprise and to grow the customer base through their support. Previous beneficiaries or customers can become key influencers and can recommend the enterprise. Key influencers can reduce the perceived risk of working with your enterprise because they offer an opinion that is trusted and respected. Prioritising stakeholders. Being able to identify stakeholders will make monitoring and evaluation far more effective and beneficial process for social enterprise. This will be looked at in more detail in subsequent modules, but as an activity, prioritise the stakeholders that you identified on your own stakeholder map. Identify which of your stakeholders stakeholders are either customers, beneficiaries or key influencers, and which fall into another category of other stakeholders.